Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and we're starting our weekly webinar. What we're trying to do here is make a plan for the week, try to see what happened last week and what's waiting for us in the week to come. A few words about myself. My name is Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. I started my trading career 23 years ago, a little bit over in June of 2000, as a prop trader in New York City. And after doing that intense trading for 11 years, I moved into a less stressful environment and I started to mentor and educate other traders. And I'm very happy that currently I have a great opportunity to assist our customers at AvaTrade. The agenda of the webinar, we usually go a little bit through fundamentals. We'll discuss economic calendar, and we'll go through indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex. Pretty much the same format as every week. Risk warning, you can find a full statement at avatrade.com. And of course, what we do here is purely educational. These are our channels that I highly recommend for you to follow, subscribe to. You have Telegram, you have X or Twitter, and my favorite, as I always say, YouTube channel, where you have a lot of tutorials, educational materials, and also all the webinars are being recorded. Some of you might be watching this on YouTube right now. So please, if you like it, don't forget to click on the like, write your comments, it's very important. Feel free to share it with your friends. And of course, subscribe and click on that bell so you'll be notified when new things are coming in. Okay, before I go into the slides that I prepared, I know it's the 31st of December. It's been a heck of a year for everyone with everything going in the markets and our personal lives, wars all over the world. I mean, the wars over the world, unfortunately. So I hope that we are stepping into a much better year, and we should be optimistic in all the aspects. And hopefully we'll have an amazing year. So few things, I like to bring these funny pictures, and of course I didn't create them. This is from marketwatch.com. So 2 slides. This is the one. By the way, it's a very interesting article. You can go to marketview.com and the marketwatch.com, and you can read the article, interesting details there. So it says right here that US stocks today are more expensive than at almost any other time. And it says how prices the stock market now, just compare it with January 2022 bull market highs. So article speaks about interesting things. You can look into it. It could be that market is overpriced according to what it says here. And this one's even more drastic in a way. It's also an article on marketwatch.com, and it says here this record-setting stock market rally is living on borrowed time. And basically what's happening here, the time is running and also the cash is running. And it says right here, cash is flooding the market and there isn't much left on the sidelines. So basically, I read through both articles, very interesting. I suggest for you to read if you have time, so you'll be understanding a little bit more fundamentals. And just in 2 words about this one, it says here, as you know, they were telling us that a lot of money sitting on the side waiting to be put into the market. So according to this guy here, Mark Hulbert, and the research, they say that most of the money is already in the market. So it's nothing more to come in a way. So that's also not very bullish for the markets. Read the article. Hope you find it interesting. Okay, so before we go into economic calendar, just pretty much a year in review. the US market was very, very strong, as the article says here. I'm going to be giving you the numbers from the cash indices, not the futures, because in S&P futures we did make a new high, but in the cash, the index itself, we were a little bit shy, maybe about 4 points. So the S&P got as far as 47.93 on Friday, and it was really close to 47.97, and that's the level of January of 2021, I think 2022, right? And that's where we start selling, yes, the 2022. So we were really 4 points shy, and of course there was a little bit of a sell-off. So on Friday it went down 0.3%. All the indices slipped a little bit on Friday. So in any event, it did close the year up 24% and is the biggest gain since 2021. So that's as far as S&P. The Nasdaq rose 43% for the year, and it also was a little bit shy of the January 2022 record. And Dow Jones made a record on that was done on December 13th, and Dow Jones is up only 14%, but at the top or at the highs in 2023. So great year for US equities. Let's see how we start January. According to these guys here, we might be starting it not so positive. But again, we're not going to guess. We'll celebrate New Year's. We'll make positive plans and optimistic projection, and we'll take it as it comes day by day. Okay, so these are the fundamentals, a kind of review for the year. Economic calendar. For new people, I'm going to mention a few important things. Economic calendar is a public information. You can find it on our web trader or the app or any third-party providers. It's public information, as I said, and everybody reports the same thing from the sources. And here I'll take only high impact events. There are a lot of them. You can filter through, you see what's relevant for you as far as geography or markets that you trade. And sometimes people ask, is it important to follow it? Even if you're a technical trader and don't care about any fundamentals, I believe that it's important to know that certain things are coming out on certain time and day, so you won't be simply caught up in an unexpected move or anything like that. Okay, so we'll go through the calendar briefly. So Sunday we have manufacturing PMI and non-manufacturing PMI from China. China's in focus. We'll take a look in a moment at the index. We have another manufacturing PMI on Tuesday. Wednesday we have manufacturing PMI from US, and this is important, FOMC minutes from the Feds from the last meeting. They'll be kind of sharing with us their thoughts, projections, and so on. Thursday, service PMI from China, consumer price index from Germany, and ADP employment change from US, which is sometimes an indication how the NFP will be, which is the following day. Friday, retail sales from Germany. We have consumer PMI numbers from European Union, and we have employment data from Canada. And the highlight of the week, we're kicking in the first week of the year with non-farm payrolls, and this is the data, employment, unemployment, and so on, that the Feds are clearly watching. And again, everybody's excited that the Feds will start cutting rates soon, and this is the biggest contribution of the upside move of the equity markets. So let's see if that's happening as projected, or maybe it could be delay, or could be anything else. And so NFP's the most important thing, and also the FOMC minutes, the same line on Wednesday. Okay. All right. So we're going to move now to the MT4, and we'll go through indices. We'll start with China, then US and European indices. We'll go through some major stocks. We'll go through commodities that includes crude oil, gold, palladium, cocoa, and sugar. And we'll go through Forex, starting with dollar index. And we'll take a quick look at Bitcoin at the end. All right, so let's start with China. China is trying to recover. If you remember, this 11,150 level was the key level that we mentioned that was retested from October last year. It looks like we established the support after playing with this level and then building up support. And then on the 28th, we had a nice move, and the following day we closed higher. So it could be that we might see some recovery here. Another Asian index, Nikkei, is not acting so strong. We're still facing resistance here around 33,500, and the biggest reason for it is the Japanese yen is trying to recover. So we'll take a look at yen when we get to Forex. And here are our US indices that I just mentioned, detailed numbers. So we have Dow Jones. All of them Friday sold a little bit. So Dow Jones is closing at the record. S&Ps, according to the futures, it is also closing at the records, but the cash index, as we said, was a little bit shy of the record highs. So S&P is also a giveaway the previous couple of sessions, and Nasdaq the same picture. We closed at 17,004.5. So these are the US indices. Again, strong year. They closed high, as I mentioned to you a few times. The Wall Street is trying to bring the market and close it at the high, so they'll show nice results and get fat bonuses. And this has been going on pretty much for a very long time. Here comes Germany. The German index is also finished the year very strong. So you can see weekly chart. We had 3 weeks in a row, pretty much closing almost at the same area. Another thing that catches attention here, we have something they call golden cross, when the 50 is crossing above the 200 moving average. So some analysts consider it as a buy signal, technically. So let's see if anything triggers because of that. And UK also tried to run, far from being at the highs, but the session closed in green. Again, just I hope it's obvious, but I have to mention it, that tomorrow, the 1st of January, all the markets are closed. And of course, we're going to be enjoying a day off. So that's as far as indices. And let's go through the major stocks and see what's the story, how they look. Now, Apple, if you remember, Apple had a few issues towards the end of the year. China has been really tightening things, and they're banning especially the iPhone and other Apple products from being used by certain agencies, and it's being spreading now. So Apple didn't really have the best closing at the year, at the end of the year. And also they had an issue with the watch. They're being sued by some medical firm. I don't know the details, so I won't make it up. But they had the Apple Watch put on hold, and I think the last days of December, the US judge allowed it to be sold again. So let's see how things progress. Microsoft also, as you probably heard, New York Times took Microsoft to court and OpenAI for they blaming them for using the New York Times material in training the AIs without permission. I guess we'll have more details upcoming days and weeks. So as you could see here, Microsoft didn't really confirm that high. Tesla also doesn't show a lot of strength. As you could see here, we are ranging and of course far from the highs here. Google, it looks like we are having a hard time breaking this 141, 142 area. So it remains resistance for now. Amazon, we did break through the previous resistance. If we are continuing higher, we'll probably face resistance around here, 165, 167 area. And actually looks quite strong here. Intel, if you remember, Intel had a nice move after the upgrades and other reasons. So here, if we are continuing higher, this level here at around 52 could be the next resistance. And if we're sliding lower, about 44.5, it looks like it's support. And also it's a 200 moving average here. Meta of Facebook, we did try to break Thursday's high, which was 357. So that remains the resistance for now. And it kind of matches this previous resistance here around the same levels. So current level around 354, it looks like a resistance for Meta of Facebook. And here also, as you could see, as I mentioned with the example with German DAX, also we have something they call golden cross, 150 simple moving average is breaking about 200. So also they might consider it as the buy signal. Let's take a look how we start. Nike, if you remember, had a sell-off with disappointing numbers when they reported the earnings. And since then, we couldn't really recover at all. So I think this initial day, the high of this day could be our resistance, and the low that we made recently, it could be kind of supported, at least for now. So around 106, 107 is support, and 110, 111 resistance. It looks like we're channeling here. And guess what? We did the same thing back in July in the same exact channel. So I will be watching Nike. This was a big drop. Boeing, as you know, had a super strong recovery here, and this is consolidation here. Could it be contribution? They're selling the stock and it will go lower. It could be. We'll be watching that, of course. It was a very strong vertical recovery, so it could be. Again, it all will depend where the general market is moving. So if the market starts the year with a sell-off or a correction, we might see Boeing sliding with it as well. Pfizer had a rough year. As you know, certain things happened. We discussed it. They canceled the trial of one of the cancer medication. Then they had disappointing earnings and projections. And this was the latest news, I think. And then they bought Decision for 43 billion. And since that announcement, the stock's been recovering nicely. Also, they increased the dividends by 1 penny to 42 cents. And since then, if you remember, we mentioned it, the stock had a nice recovery. We did close the gap. Let's see, maybe this year could be better for Pfizer. Netflix, we did break through the previous resistance and we're kind of building support here. So 482.5, it looks like a support. And let's see the weekly chart. We could have continuation, or of course it could be the opposite. It could break below and start building resistance and slide lower here. Uber also had a great year, but it looks like we're stumbling here. So Let's see how this year continues. We are fighting with the previous resistance back from April 2021. We did have few attempts to move higher, but this exact level around 61.5 is crucial. If we dive below it again and start building resistance, we might see correction. And if not, we might see continuation as well. Teva Pharmaceutical, we spoke this year quite a few times about it, and it looks like it's being strong here. We just made this the weekly chart. We're trying to break out from the previous high after making a higher low. And as I mentioned to you on the monthly chart, we've been ranging here for a very long time, and we could be seeing a breakout at some point. Okay, so I think that's enough with the stocks. And just before we go to Forex, just want to show you also banking stocks that had a very strong recovery, by JP Morgan being a leading one. We almost hit the all-time highs after a nice correction here with a nice vertical here, and we closed at the high pretty much for the year, not the historical highs. Goldman, the same thing. On Goldman, we have a clear resistance. Yes, you could see a few attempts. We couldn't break this 385, 386 area. Also, we're having a golden cross here. Could mean something. Not necessarily will happen, but we might see that continuation to the upside in Goldman. Bank of America also closing at the highs. Citigroup as well. So because of that excitement with the Feds potentially starting to cut the rates soon, the banking sector had a nice move in the past few weeks, as you could see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. And as I said, JP Morgan is leading it. 8 consecutive weeks, if not 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks to the upside and closing at the highs. So banking sector definitely will be watching. Okay, let's go to commodities. We start, you know what, let's take a look at copper. I forgot totally about it. As China is recovering, should be watching copper. And in the past 2 sessions, been selling, correcting a little bit. It did have a nice move to the upside, and also across a lot of instruments. Now we're seeing this golden cross. Could be we're gonna rally in those instruments. Remember, it's DAX, Goldman Sachs. Now it's copper showing it. Interesting. So let's see what copper does, what China does. Crude oil towards the end of the year, it's not really showing any strength. I don't know what fundamentally is happening. Maybe fear of demand, and maybe it was overbought when the fear of supply kicked in right here. We don't know, but we'll see what's new for oil. So far, we have this dead cross that I mentioned to you. It's the opposite when it triggers a selling signal. And if we are continuing sliding, we might be retesting these recent lows. So we'll be watching crude oil. Natural gas has been fighting this 250 level up and down. Let's see which way it will decide to go this upcoming year. Again, it's winter. It could be a cold weather that's going to be supporting natural gas, as I mentioned a few times. Let's see how we do next year. Gold. After scaring everybody here with 2 consecutive moves to the upside and making all-time highs, the very next session we just erased the whole move, and then we went lower and below 2000. So it looks like the investors and the traders are cautious here. Nobody wants to get caught in this move. So slowly we're stepping up here. The last 2 sessions we moved lower as the dollar regained strength. I believe we'll take a look at the moment. and 10-year yields showed a little bit of recovery, so gold sold a little bit here. Let's see how this year will be for gold. If the markets are continuing being strong, we might see that safe haven aspect of gold will weaken, and we might see some sell-offs. And if the opposite happens, if the market starts selling, we might see some money coming in for safe haven into gold. So we'll be watching that, of course. Palladium, we spoke about it a few times. As you could see here, we had a super strong recovery after double bottoming at 950. We had rejection here at 200 moving average. Also, we did hit a few times this previous resistance, or almost hit it at 1257. And the whole week pretty much we've been selling. So I would actually watch the palladium and see if this is the beginning of the move or this is just a temporary correction before going lower. But this level here around 1098, 1099, as you could see here, we're holding. That was the previous resistance that we easily broke. So if we still holding this level here at 1098 or 1099 and start building support, we might have another attempt to break out. If not, we might be sliding. It could be also retesting the 50 moving average, and could be also doing the third attempt to retest the 950 support. So that's palladium, and let's take a look at cocoa and sugar. If you remember cocoa, I mentioned to you that it looks like we're getting exhausted here, just to show you this vertical move. And so fundamental fear of shortage of supply. Take a look. This past week, we erased the previous 2 weeks of move, and we are rounding up here. So we might be sliding here and continue lower to retest this previous support back beginning of December, around 4,095, and we'll take it from there. Also, the next thing would be the 50 moving average. And of course, it could be the opposite. We could be reversing and going higher. As they say, the sky is the limit. Anything could happen. We should be prepared, but it looks like we are sliding here. And sugar. If you remember, we mentioned this level 2040 on sugar. We had a nice move on Thursday, and the very next day we just erased it, but we are holding this. So I guess they are testing here the 2040 level. So definitely worth watching. Just to show you the big picture, sugar been selling for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 consecutive weeks, 2 months straight, and this is the series level. You have resistance here that turned into support and a new high. So we'll be definitely watching sugar at these levels. Okay, and let's move to Forex. As I said, if you remember when I mentioned gold, the last 2 sessions selling, it's just the mirror image of dollar index. So dollar index, the last 2 sessions been slightly recovering here. If we are continuing higher, we would be retesting this 101.30 level, 101.37, where we stop this sell-off. And if not, we might be sliding lower to below 100. It could be all the way to around 99. And let's take a look through all the majors and just see if anything interesting there. So pound, as we mentioned a few sessions in a row, the 128 still remains resistance. Watch this. The 50 is really crawling and trying to really cross above the 200 moving average here. So it also could be, in addition, a signal for buying, but still 128 remains the resistance here. Euro dollar, if you remember, we mentioned 110 level being resistance. We did break it the past week. But then the last 2 days, on the strength of the dollar, we are selling here. So let's see if we come close to it and retest it and see how we are. And here, guess what? A lot of golden crosses. Very interesting. Again, just for you to understand, it doesn't mean it's in stone that it will happen, but it's not me saying, it's the famous analysts are using it, like they did last week in an article on oil, on that cross. Sometimes they use it in their technical analysis and they speak of it. So let's see. Maybe we'll come here and continue higher. The golden cross is already here. And here comes Japanese yen, which been strong since mid-November. And as I mentioned to you, that this is the reason or one of the reasons why Japanese index or Japan index Nikkei is not really continuing to the upside. So Japanese yen has been strong, and as we're already watching it, let's take a look. Japanese yen against other currencies, and as you could see here, the last 3 sessions was a strong move for the yen, as all other currencies are selling heavily against the yen. So we'll continue watching the yen, and of course, just to remind us, we are getting closer to that interest rate decision by the Bank of Japan. It is happening. The question is when. Some expect it to happen in early spring, but there are some analysts saying it could happen very next month in January as well. So we're definitely watching, and so far the yen has been showing a lot of strength. Here you have USD CAD holding this support. There was a lot of actions here back in July. We are holding support with huge tails. It could be a sign of reversal, and also the weakness of oil contributes to it. As we know that Canadian dollar is very sensitive to oil prices, as Canada is one of the producers. So let's see how we proceed from here. As of now, we are holding this 131, 132 area. I mean, to be precise, we stopped right here at 131.92, so around 132. Aussie dollar is playing with this level here around 0.68. It's a key level. It's been key level for a few occasions. We had support here, support and resistance, 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 and we're back to this level again. So it looks like every time we come to this level is a big fight. Let's see how we do this year. Okay, and also New Zealand dollar, we did reject this level around 0.6364. The last 2 sessions we went down, and guess what? Another golden cross here. So a lot of them. And USD CHF, looks like we broke this week through this 0.85.5, and we had few tails, and the dollar looks super weak against the Swiss franc. And right here, this is the level of famous January 15 of 2015. If you remember, when the Swiss franc unpacked from euro, it was a huge move. So the low here was 0.8445, and we are trading within 50 pips of that move. So this is crucial. Again, will we break through it? This is the first month we closed below this level of 8 years old, and we might continue sliding, or if we recover above it, we might see a recovery. So I think this is a very strong level here on USD CHF. And the pair that we've been talking about a lot, Swiss franc, Japanese yen. A strong move. We're still holding up. And as you could see, these tails could be a sign of see the high tail and closing lower could be a sign of them trying to take the stop. I'm just speculating here. It doesn't mean it's true. But it could be they're trying to get the stop out, and we're getting out of juice and the sell-off might start at some point. So this is CHF JPY. Okay, and as we said, let's wrap it up with Bitcoin. Is the only, cryptocurrency is the only ones that are trading 24/7. It is trading today. It's in green. We are between the 40,000 and 44,000, somewhere in the middle. Let's see what this year brings to crypto markets. I'm not going to pretend I know anything about it. Just one thing that we mentioned a few times, that everybody's expecting those ETFs for cryptocurrencies, and this is one of the big reasons why this recent move in cryptos happened. Okay, so again, we're starting the week with NFP numbers and FOMC minutes. We closed at the highs, and some, based on what I share with you from the marketwatch.com, some predict the market getting weak. But also there's a strong opinion that we're entering the election year, which statistically or historically is a positive year for the market. So again, we're not going to be guessing. You can't really guess things. We can't predict things, like we couldn't predict any wars, and we couldn't predict COVID, and things are happening. So we'll just try to be positive, happy, prepared, have a plan, manage our risks, make people around us happy. So on that note, I want to wish everyone Happy New Year. Let's have an amazing year to all of us, to you and your families. And we'll see you next year. All the best. Have a great celebration.